Well, hello everyone, and welcome to One Civil Law. Hope everyone's having a great day, and we are here with my friend, your friend, fellow lawyer, fellow counselor, guy to stars. It is Nate Brody.
Nate, the lawyer, is here. What's going on, bro?
Yeah. Well,
How are you doing?
we're just having a wonderful evening on this wonderful July 5th, celebrating our nation's independence. We remain
Woohoo!
independent. Great Britain can suck it. We're our own
You're
nation,
funny,
man.
brother.
That's right.
That's right. We did it. We did
That's
it.
right. America.
No, you know
America.
what though? It was funny. They did like a survey or something about whether people were proud to be American, and it
Uh-huh.
was like people were like, like, no, I'm not really that proud to be an American. I'm like, what the hell? What? I don't. I like. Don't get me wrong. All countries have issues. But my God, you're living in the greatest country on the goddamn planet Earth. Even the other countries will tell you that. And yet you say you're not proud to be an American. Now, I understand we've done some messed up stuff. But really? Not proud to be an American? I don't know, bro. I don't know.
In the history of the world, messed up stuff. I don't know, man. I'm not sure how we rank in the world history of messed up stuff. Everyone has some baggage along the way. Yeah.
Not enough to know that we on the right side of history. We are
Yeah.
on the right side.
We have
Brother.
we have
Even-
less
even though we're-
baggage. We have less baggage if for no other reason than just because we have less time than
Listen,
many of the other countries.
I remember I used to work the security job, and we had a lot of people who were who had immigrated from, like, let's say, Haiti, and they were always, they would always come and, bad mouth America, bad mouth America. And I would always say, like, yeah, welcome to America. The reason why you here is because we're so good. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you want to, this is the land, which is land of the free, home of the brave. I think sometimes we forget how good we have it here. We forget how good
we have it very good in the United States. There are other countries which are arguably better in some dimensions, but I think on the whole, we probably are the greatest country on the earth. We are the richest, most successful, most prosperous, most secure. We have probably the greatest constitution in the world, most secure freedoms. I love our First Amendment compared to some of what our brethren have in, say, for example, Canada or the UK or France. Their versions of the First Amendment leave a little bit be desired, in my humble opinion.
Let's just put it this way. If you woke up tomorrow in any other country on planet Earth, that'd be a totally different experience if they woke up here, right?
Yeah.
If you woke up like in Honduras, right, tomorrow, right, you got problems. If somebody from Honduras woke up in your bed, they got a different problem. So what I'm saying is that I understand that we have problems, but again, I'm just USA all the way, baby.
Do you think it's accurate to say that the United States is, I don't know if you go with the least, but among the least racist countries in the world?
Yes, yeah, I would definitely go that far.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you might be able to get to some other ones just because of like their homogeneity. So they don't actually have the issue as much, which kind of deceives you. So if you look at other countries where it's more ethnically homogenous, they don't have the problem as much. But
No, look what happened in the Dominican Republic, for instance.
oh yeah.
When they took so people understand what happened. The Dominican Republic used to have birthright citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
So people from Haiti would go over to the Dominican Republic, have a baby's a Dominican citizen. So then you kind of had this mixing where you had these Haitians who lived in Haiti but were Dominican citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dominican Supreme Court, I'm messing up a lot of stuff, but the Dominican Supreme Court ruled that, hey, back when the Constitution first started, blah, 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 and stripped them all of their birthright citizenship. So it made all these people stateless, right?
That's a neat trick, right? That's a neat trick. Just overnight, make them all stateless. That's a thing.
And then the only way they were able to identify people is based on the color of their skin. This dark-skinned person is Haitian. Send them to Haitian. That's how they were doing it. Now, that seems to be extremely racist, right? Extremely racist. But, not like that's going to the United States, but that doesn't excuse any wrongs that happen or ills that happen here. nor does it, is there some excuse for us not to seek to be better. But no, I would
I'm not
rather live in
looking.
the
I'm not
United
looking
States of
for an
America
excuse.
as a black man
I'm not
than
looking for an
anywhere
excuse
else.
for the past. I'm just looking for a little gratitude that things are, not so bad these days. Maybe we've come a long. Maybe we've come a long way, baby.
And that's what I always say. I always say, the left makes it seem like we're back on plantation fields, right? We're on
Yeah.
plantation. They got you singing. They got Jim Crow laws coming back. I'm like,
Yeah, like
hold the fuck on.
yeah,
But
like
then,
the woman or the woman/man who wants to be transgender and compete for the Olympics and is out there saying how horrible the United States is. I'm like, the very fact you're able to talk out loud is kind of contra proof of what you're saying. It's like you are able to speak and you haven't been killed yet. So there's something there.
well, it's interesting because I think you can't have it both ways, right? I think the thing that makes America fantastic, like the greatest country on earth, is the fact that person can say that, right? Is the fact when somebody dissents here in America, we see that as a strength. We don't see that as a weakness. We see that as that person exercising their constitutional right. That is freedom, freedom to dissent. So, like, even when she's wearing the shirt and all, and she's unhappy to be in America, I don't appreciate that. I would rather her not do that. But I don't. I think people say that she's making us look like a laughing stock on the world stage. No, she's showing people what real freedom looks like. The fact that she's doing that and there's no consequences to it. That's freedom right there. Even though you it may look bad, but that's what it is. That's it in its rawest form. You can say what you want about me.
Yeah, there's just something very. I appreciate that, but I'm of two minds of it. And the other mind is you're competing specifically for the United States. You're trying to participate and compete on behalf of the United States. So it's a little bit odd to simultaneously say I want to, drape myself in my country's flag, and simultaneously I don't want to do that. I don't know. It just feels something's odd about the juxtapositional irony.
Yeah, I don't know. I do understand. Wanting to make a political statement. Maybe that's just her way of getting her platform. I don't know.
I don't know. The whole thing is weird, but yeah, I do appreciate that. Whatever penalties there are, we're not going to throw people in jail for their freedom of speech. We're not going to disappear them. We're not going to, impact their liberty in terms of like a social credit score that will be assigned and or monitored by the government. So there is that, which is very encouraging. USA, USA, USA.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to congratulate you on your 70,000 subscribers, Nate. You have been blowing up recently. You got 1 million viewers on your recent video on the soccer championship pay equity issue. So congratulations. You are killing it.
Yeah, no, that was when I got lucky on, baby. That was when I got lucky on. The U.S. women's soccer team, they've been helping me out. They've been helping my channel out. Me just
Yeah, you have to send Megan Rappaport a thank you card.
I got to him like, you guys have been. So did you? So you? No, but I mentioned it earlier. They have this new documentary, LFR or LFG, something like that. No, I think it's LFG. Well, did you pull up the trailer?
All right, let me find this trailer for this thing. I don't even know what this is.
LFG. This is the U.S. women's soccer team. This is their documentary about the lawsuit from when they first filed it to the end.
This should be full of crap. LFG movie. Okay, this is all right. Oh, there's an official trailer from 3 weeks ago. Let's see if I can share this with audio. I may not be able to do this, but we'll try. Let's see. Share screen. This thing. Can I share this with music? I don't know if this is going to allow audio or not. Can you hear that?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't hear that.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you could hear it or not. I don't know if there's any way for me to do this because I'm not
Yes.
inside Chrome.
Yes. See, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll
you
do
do
it.
it on your end.
Yeah. Just let me pull it up. I watched this last night too, and the lawyer from this case, it's just like at a point you're like, this is very bad lawyering. Hold on, let me share my screen, and we should be able to hear it. All right.
Let me have this.
Tell me when you're ready to go.
All right,
Yep.
let's give this a shot.
You ready?
Yep.
This group is just so bad. We have pink hair and purple hair, tattoos, dreadlocks, white girls, black girls. Yes, we play sports. Yes, we play soccer. But we're so much more than that.
We were ready to show the world real talent, real energy, real competitive drive.
But this story's the same everywhere. Women get paid less to do the same job.
The fight for equal pay has been going on since this team started.
The mindset back then was you should just be grateful, darling, that you have a place to play.
Even though I'm on the USA team, I have to coach just to make ends meet. Childcare is more than my paychecks.
The men's team get more money, more marketing, better fields.
We were very frustrated and very angry. It's not fair.
The women on the U.S. soccer team are suing the U.S. Soccer Federation for equal pay. The USSF does argue some women on the team got more compensation than some of the men did.
It's like, really?
And then it was like, hold my beer.
If we win this World Cup, they would have no choice but to be on our side. That's when I felt the movement.
We got the entire world on our side.
I want to leave this team better than I found it on and also off the field.
This will be one of those landmark decisions talked about for decades.
Anything less than winning is a failure.
If you want the world to look a certain way, you have to fight to get there. It is time.
It is time. It is time.
Let's go.
Let's go!
So what'd you think? Let's go.
Well, they said if we win the World Cup, we'd have no choice but to support them. But I read the court's decision, Nate, and I found it pretty persuasive. As did you. We both found it pretty persuasive. We both said, okay, the women were in fact offered the men's deal. They turned it down. They took a different deal for fully legitimate reasons. They got the benefit of their bargain. And yeah, and also, as you pointed out in your video, the men would have been better under the women's deal. So are the men going to be suing for equal pay too? Because they didn't get equal pay.
And it's funny because even in that video, I didn't have to go into the financials. I thought it was such a stupid case. I didn't even go to the financials. The fact of the matter is, if the men's team wins the World Cup, they get $9 million to split. But that's out of a prize pool of like $39 million. So the winner of the World Cup, that team gets $38 million, and $9 million of that 38 goes to the team. So you get that?
Okay.
But now for the Women's World Cup, the prize pool is $4 million. That's what the top person gets, $4 million. And they give $2 million of that to the women. So if they want equal pay, the men would actually have to win the World Cup, because if they don't, then there won't be enough prize money to pay the women $9 million. Let's say if the men don't qualify for the World Cup and the women win their World Cup, they only win $4 million. So how can the U.S. Federation pay them $9 million when they only won 4? The men would have to win for them to get equal pay.
The magic pile of money? I mean, the magic pile of money will supply the other $5 million, Nate.
I don't know. It's like even the math doesn't make sense because I don't think they see that. Yes, they're getting money from FIFA, but that FIFA prize money, that's how they're paying the men. The prize money from the women's game is like nothing compared to the prize money for the men's game.
Right. But I'm still back on the women were offered the men's deal and turned it down. They had equal opportunity. They had the opportunity for, if they wanted equal pay, they had that option. They explicitly, as a union, turned it down through a collective bargaining agreement when they're represented by lawyers and everyone else for fully legitimate reasons. It's not like their reasons weren't good.
But they
and you could make a very credible case that they made the right decision even now.
But their argument is that, so what? Some women got paid more than some men, or the fact that what you're saying is true. It's the fact that if the men won the World Cup, they'd have won $66 million more, and they did win the World Cup, and that's not equal. That's their argument. It's not about what they actually want; it's about potential. But that argument fails to take into account one thing. Is that when offered that type of structure, that very risky structure, right? Because that says that unless you win, you don't get anything.
Right.
What they did, they said, no, we don't want it. We don't want that risky structure. We want guaranteed money, right? I want a guaranteed $100,000 if I play, I don't. The men get nothing if they don't play. That's worth something, right? Right.
Right.
It's worth $100,000 and a $230,000 signing bonus too. It's also worth that.
It's worth about $230,000, I think,
to sign that deal. So yeah, it's I don't understand what the women's argument was. I really just don't.
No, and now we got this entire movie from HBO, which they've got to know better. It's not, and the women's team has got to know better. They've all got to know better. They're all making this argument that is completely disingenuous, which is more than a little bit frustrating. It's not backed out by the facts. It's not backed out by reality. At least that, or the judge's decision is just completely wrong in its findings, and the judges are just making up stuff. So, one of those things is, but I'm inclined to believe the court. No one showed oh no, that's completely wrong. That never happened. I don't know what the court's thinking of.
Only thing the court's saying is that you have to look at the whole picture, because the first thing the women's lawyer tried to argue is that the prize money that comes from FIFA shouldn't be considered because the women get paid by the federation. So that money that goes to the federation, they don't care about that money. It's all, that money should be evenly split between men and women. Like, just because the men get, the men's prize pool is 40 million versus the women's prize pool 2 million. When that money gets to FIFA, to the U.S. Soccer Federation, they should treat everybody down there equally. So the women and men should get the same, no matter how much money they generate.
Yeah, and also the dispute was over the pay structure. There was a separate dispute over the ancillary things like the methods of travel, the quality of the hotels, and stuff like that. And that went forward. Yes, and they did reach a settlement a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a separate issue there too.
That one went forward, but all the claims of equal pay, it was justly thrown out. But I want to see what their appeal does, because they're supposedly appealing it. So.
Okay, well, knock yourself out. I mean, you're going appealing to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, so maybe you'll find a favorable panel. But
because
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Too. This is a liberal lefty judge, in California, making this ruling too. Yeah. So I don't know.
And the women's agreement, I think, expires this year. The current contract expires this year. So if the women want the men's contract, I'm sure they can get it going forward. Do you want the men's contract now? We can do that.
Yeah. But you lose all those health benefits.
Yeah,
You
pick
lose all
something,
that other stuff. Yeah, you lose all those other things. Matter of fact, because the men's deal don't give you any of that, right? The men's, see, the thing is that U.S. Soccer actually has another league that they run for the women. Like, you know how the men go to professional leagues?
Yep.
U.S. Soccer actually runs a separate league for the women. So that's how they get money too. So they're really just all their whole soccer lives are tied to U.S. Soccer, where the men just come to U.S. Soccer to play for the World Cup and then go, to MLS or what have you. That's the problem. It's like you have to have a market for women's soccer. I just don't think they're there yet with the market. They've tried to have a couple of those leagues, but they haven't been successful, unfortunately.
I mean, the men's leagues are obviously more popular worldwide. I mean, I'm not sure about the United States or not because the women's team has been so successful. So, but I mean, if you're talking about like global earning potential from various competitions, yeah, the women's, it's completely different.
And I think that should be lost, should not be lost, because
I'm now Googling trying to find out the status of this appeal. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. What is going on in this appeal? Has it been filed? Has it been docketed? When can I make fun of it?
I don't know. Has
it happened yet?
I haven't seen it. I'm looking now too. You've got me looking, but I read an article that said it was they had appealed.
Go read the appeal brief. See if they make any sense.
I don't know what they could be appealing though. Like, I don't know what could they be appealing. The facts, I don't know. Like, I have what.
Yeah, that's the only thing is like, let's appeal the facts. Oh, we weren't really offered the men's deal. That sounds like a factual question though, whether or not you were offered the men's deal. So you want to appeal the trial court on the facts. Good luck with that plan.
Yeah, but who's the fact finder? The fact finder is the trial court anyway.
That's what I thought.
You can't appeal on the facts.
You have to show clear error.
Yeah.
You have to show a clearly erroneous conclusion somehow. That when the judge judged this fact, that was a clear error for him to make that fact. Sure it was.
I don't see any triable issues of fact here. And on top of that,
issues, and the legal analysis flows from the factual analysis. They were offered the same deal. They had their own representation. They were offered it. They picked it. They didn't pick it for very pragmatic reasons. Also, if we gave you the men's deal, it would be completely inequitable. Also, we'd have to give them your deal.
And on top of that, the men, let's not forget, they made more money than the men, but not just overall, on a per game basis. The team made about $8,000 more per game than the men.
Right.
So yeah, winning all those World Cups they made more money than the men. It wasn't like they just made exactly what the men made. They literally made more money than the men. But yeah, that doesn't matter.
I don't know how we're getting to any of this stuff. Someone said to bring up Title IX. Title IX has to do with college sports. So Title IX doesn't read on the present situation. Title IX deals specifically with collegiate and university institutions, which requires men's and women's sports to be funded equally in gross. So they don't have to be funded equally from sport to sport, but they have to be funded equally in total. And that's a little bit easier for a university to pull off for various reasons. Not the least of reasons is that the Title IX requires it, but the relevant laws that are in play here don't seem to have any bearing on that.
Well, I do want to say this lawsuit can be explained extremely simply. It is like, I don't understand.
Maybe we should explain it to the women's team, but then we'd be mansplaining, Nate.
This is as simple as it can be made, right? Is that, they negotiated a deal. And during that negotiation, they said, we agree to this deal. We're going to be paid this way. Then they go out, execute that deal, and get paid more than the men. So then they come back and file this discrimination claim. How many discrimination claims can you file when you were not only paid more overall, but on a per game basis? That means your rate of pay was higher and the amount you made was better than the men. Mm-hmm. And also, even if, and the last piece of this is that the fact that the federation couldn't pay you that money anyway, because the league, the World Cup that the women won only pays out $4 million. They want $9 million, right? You only brought in 4. Now you want us to pay you 9?
I mean,
That's untenable.
if we were really going to do equal pay for equal work, I guess the contract would have to be, let's sum up all the money that's available at the end, and we'll split it evenly between the men and women, because we have no idea what that's going to be in advance.
But I brought in 30 million and she brought in 2, and we should split it 50-50?
That sounds like we need to give 15.1 million per person to me.
I don't know. That's crazy. I bring in 30, and you bring in 2, and we split it evenly?
No. The only reason that men and women pay differently is because of sexism. It has nothing to do with earning potential or contracts or any of those things. It's just pure. Yeah.
And one thing I would also say too, for the naysayers out there, is if the men's deal, if they were just asking for the men's deal, then why would U.S. Soccer have to negotiate with them separately, right? If they were just the men's, because you'd only need one deal, right? Why are they both negotiating separately with U.S. Soccer? Because if we're talking about truly equal pay, then we don't need to negotiate with you separately, because we're going to pay you both the same anyway, right?
That's right. That's right. So it in practice denies the women's ability to negotiate. So that's good. Women no longer have the ability to negotiate because, well, we have to give you the same as the men. So join their union or something, but we can't let you negotiate separately because otherwise it wouldn't be equal.
That's exactly what this comes down to. We want the men's deal, even though we made more under ours. We want the men's deal. This is like, how are people not seeing this? How are people really not seeing this? And they said, well, they should have made more because they won 3 World Cups. Because they got
the No Doubt I'm Just a Girl soundtrack. So that's what's going on.
This is an equal pay case. You can't go in the court and say, yeah, I made more money, but I'm not being paid equal. That don't work.
I wouldn't think so, but apparently you can because someone tried.
Did you see, like, we got paid more? Really? Like, yeah. You're saying the other person's not being paid fair. They paid you more. What's wrong with you? I don't know. So
NYSERDA estimates oral arguments will be scheduled 12 to 20 months from the notice of appeal. The briefs are due, August 23rd, so they're still in the middle of briefing.
But what the hell could they be appealing on now?
I don't know. What
could they be appealing?
I don't know.
We made more money. It's discrimination. We made a higher rate of money, and we made more money overall.
I'm sure the NYSERDA will find some way to screw it up.
Yeah, this I don't know. But don't get me wrong. When I saw the documentary, that was a tearjerker, boy. They had me on an emotional roller coaster. I'm like, and then I remember when they got the phone call, like, we not getting paid. I was like, oh no, I felt it. But then I had to wake up and say, well, these are women who got $100,000 a year salary and had a $230,000 signing bonus before a guy got a check, right? They got $330,000 before a guy steps on the field. He's got to play to get paid. They just got to sign the contract.
The men were not guaranteed any games. They were guaranteed 0 games. If they didn't play, they got nothing. If they got cut from the team, they got nothing. If they got injured, they got nothing.
They were guns for hire.
That's what the men wanted. The women said, well, we want benefits and health care and
who's going to take care of my baby, right?
Pregnancy and all
that. Yeah.
I'm not convinced that the women didn't make the better deal.
They made more money. Damn right, they made the better deal.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't guaranteed to win.
Guaranteed salary, guaranteed positions. The women were guaranteed, 9 positions at like some rate, and then 12 more positions at a different rate. The men were guaranteed 0 positions.
Think about that. If you had a man and a woman, they signed that contract, right? The woman on day one gets she got $100,000 salary and a $230,000 signing bonus. Yeah. The guy, he signs on the dotted line, he gets nothing.
He gets 0.
He only gets paid if they play him in a game. So let's say the first game comes up. He plays. He loses that game. He gets $5,000. She's still up, what, $330,000 minus $5 or something, like $5,000. So that's what I'm talking about. No, you can't just, and let's not forget about the benefits. He gets hurt, he gets this, he's got to go to the hospital. He's only got $5,000.
Is this the reason now that some people try to claim that math is sexist and racist and stuff because of things like this? Because math itself is sexist and racist, or math is whiteness?
No, listen, the lawyers believe the case. Like watching that documentary, the lawyers believed in the case. Like this guy, like the night before, he's like, I got bombshell news. They admitted that we don't pay the women and men the same. The judge, right now, with the guys like right now, I don't know how bad.
Did the documentary covered the evil court decision?
Yes, yeah, went through it.
And then they have the sad music from the evil little sexist judge who ruled against them.
Listen. It's the documentary. It goes through it all. It starts with them suing. Their lawyer lays it out. His layout is full of BS. I'm talking about his layout it's so manipulative. It's so BS. Like he just kind of. They said some women got paid more than some men. No, they didn't. They said the women's team got paid more than the men's team over that time period per game and overall. That's exactly what they said. But they try to spin it. So then they go through depositions. And after the depositions, the lawyer for the women said, he was guaranteeing victory. We're going to win. They said, blah, blah, blah. We got him on tape. We got him. Right. Then they went. Then the judge's ruling came out and you see everybody in tears. Yeah, oh God, what happened? The judge don't know nothing. Then you got the other lawyer. It's like, what? Oh my God. He said,
did they interview the lawyers for the other side, or did they not got any?
No, they didn't get them at all. Okay. They got Megan was like, she was like, the judge said we got paid less. No, the judge said we got paid more than the men. She's like, he didn't get it. Like, yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's the truth. You're here because you said there's unequal pay. You got paid more. It doesn't work.
It felt to me like the judge got it. I mean, I read the decision. It felt to me like he got it. Felt to me like he understood all the variables. I mean, unless I'm missing something, but it looked okay to me. So, I couldn't see any problem. Looked like the judge considered everything and did the analysis and looked okay to me.
Yeah, it looked okay there. It was madness. It was madness. But it is what it is. It's they're gonna go around, keep doing press and have a good time at it. But it's a shame. And I was just I am surprised that the video did so well. But obviously there's a story to that. I was telling you earlier.
Well, they're only telling one side of the story, man. They're only telling the poor women's side who's only getting paid 89 cents on the dollar. And their discrimination because they are the world's best, and still, even now, even as the best, even in America, they can't get dollar for dollar.
Well, just a couple of things. Number one, if we're just talking about the largest employers in the United States, that's the government, right? The public sector, right? Those are the largest employers. In the public sector, there is no discrimination based on gender, right? You get paid, the salaries are generally set, so forth and so forth, right? Teachers are making the same as the teachers no matter what, or it's cops or forever, right?
Yeah, which is done because they take away negotiating power from the individual, which might be good or bad depending on your point of view. But the individual has no power to negotiate. It's like, okay, you're in this pay band, therefore you're getting exactly this dollar amount. And by regulation.
Yes, and that's just how the government works. But so the thing is that you're talking about the largest employers in the United States. There's really no for a fact there's no discrimination there. Now you're talking about individual employers and people making choices. So I think the problem isn't as widespread, and it's not even as widespread in the private sector either. I'm thinking there may be things about types of jobs and things of that nature, because I think in some instances you can't pay men and women the same, right? Because at a core piece of it, there's going to be how much the person can bring in. Just imagine two singers, for instance. You got one Whitney Houston and one Leroy Jackson who can't sing at all, right? Whitney Houston's going to bring in fans, and you're going to say, well, let's pay, we're going to pay her more because she's bringing in the money, while we're going to pay Leroy Jackson a lot less because he can't sing. But now if we turn this to soccer, That's where you start. And now, if you say something like that, they say that you're just being discriminatory. They say that doesn't make any sense. But that's what you're looking at. You're looking at what brand is bringing you in the most amount of money.
Yeah, I would think that, total amount of revenue might be a relevant consideration here. Presumably you can't pay them beyond what the revenue you're bringing in is.
But true fact, the women's national team, they brought in, I think, like 51% of revenue, where the men's team brought in 49% of revenue. So they brought in a little bit more than half the revenue, but they made more than half of, but again, they then made more money. They did make more money overall, and they brought in more money, slightly more money. So yes, so everything aligns, right? It's like, but generally, did you want to make more money because you brought in more money and all that? You want to now make an extreme $66 million more. It's like, where, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, where the $66 million is going to come from is a very good question.
Yeah. Even if they won, they would have to win their next 10 World Cups to get $60 million.
Yep. And the men's if they ever win the World Cup, man, it's like going to be the end of the world. The U.S. men's team.
Yeah, it would probably be the end of the world because they suck.
Maybe someday. I mean, Austin just got its, it just opened up its pro soccer franchise, and so maybe someday.
Yeah, that's true. But we kick ass and everything else. We're like, let's give them something, right? It's USA, baby.
Yeah, baseball, basketball, football. Yeah, we kick ass everywhere.
How many medals we make in the Olympics, right? Like, we can't be good at everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do great.
Yeah,
so all kinds of good. Yeah. So I thought you had a great video, and congratulations. And I'm looking forward to you teaching me some more thumbnail game. I'm going to start just blatantly ripping off Nate's style, since it seems to be working for him, until I figure out something better. So he's sending me a template so I can do that. So that's going to be awesome. And we'll see how that helps the channel grow, because we could use some more development.
Yeah, because you know what, like some of my biggest videos, like, none of my subscribers watch. I don't know what's going on. Like, you can check on YouTube to see like how many of your subscribers watch this video. It's like 165. I'm like, this video's got like 400,000 views. 165 of my subscribers clicked on it. Like, what the hell? But it's all about that algorithm, hitting that algorithm the right way. It's unfortunate, but we got to play that game.
Love this comment from Rithra and Emrys. Honestly, I would have laughed if the judge said, "You're right. You didn't get paid the same as the men. Therefore, the women's team must pay the men's team to make it fair."
Oh my God,
that'd be good. I like that very much. That's very, very good, Mithrin. Very well done.
I like when people start talking about, like, hey, the benefits don't cost anything. I'm like, benefits don't cost anything? Like health insurance, dental insurance.
That comes as a surprise to literally everyone.
What?
Benefits don't cost anything? Since when?
They're giving them full packages, even severance pay, all this other stuff. Like,
speaking of benefits, I haven't really had a chance to look into it very much, but this lawsuit against the Trump Foundation or Trump Organization, from what I've seen, and my coverage is nowhere near expensive enough, but it looks like they're going after them for taxes based on fringe benefits, which I don't even know if that's a thing. It doesn't even make sense. I'm not sure that makes sense as a legal theory.
It does, understanding that they're not calling it, they don't consider them to be fringe benefits. They consider them to be indirect compensation. So there's two types of compensation: direct compensation. I give you cash, or cut you a check. And then there's indirect compensation. I pay your rent. Right?
Okay.
So indirect, but both forms of compensation must be reported as compensation. So they're treated the same under the tax code. So supposedly, if I lived in the company apartment, as long as I'm working for the company, then I can. That's their apartment. But if it's my apartment, then they pay my rent. Then that's indirect compensation. So I know it's a little that's like a little trick to it, but that's essentially what you're looking at. So with this Trump case, generally they would treat this as a fine. You pay back your back taxes to get a fine. So with what he did, he had an apartment and the Trump organization has many apartments, but he had his own apartment.
Okay.
The Trump organization paid his rent for X amount of times. It paid his kids' tuition. It paid his condo in Florida. It literally paid all this personal stuff.
Okay.
So the government showed that was indirect compensation. because he wasn't staying. None of this was the stuff owned. And then he actually had statements where he said, "This is my house. This is my sole property. Nobody else uses it." That type of stuff.
Okay.
So it seems like they got him with the taxes, but generally, I think the enforcement may be an overkill, because generally, if they catch you with something like this, they make you just pay back the back taxes and all that. You pay your fine and you keep it moving. 15 count indictments is generally not the way they handle this, but it
seems like a little bit much. Do you think that that's just bookkeeping error, or because usually when you're talking taxes, you're talking like tax evasion, and I'm not necessarily sure they were trying to necessarily evade tax or.
Well, that's exactly what this was, though. That's how you evade tax, because all right, if I'm paying my own rent, right? So what they did, they showed how when you read through it, there was at a point in time he was making something like $900,000, and then they put this scheme into effect where they would pay his rent and all this other stuff, his kids' tuition. So they reduced the number of his compensation down by the amount that they were paying for this other stuff. Now, by doing that, they showed that this was indirect compensation. They were saying the income was reduced by that amount. So in other words, the Trump organization would pay these vendors directly instead of them giving him, because if you give it to him directly, they would take the payroll taxes out of that. Then, but by doing it this way, he can keep more of his income. And he actually got tax refunds based on this.
Okay, so maybe there's something there. I don't know.
Yeah, if you read through it, you see it was like and then he paid the weirdest stuff off: cars, this, everything in his name, everything. But there were times where he did use the Trump apartments and stuff. So those times weren't on there. It was just the times, the place he was living in for 5 years with his wife, saying that he's the sole owner. Yeah, you're gonna get caught like that. You know what I'm saying? You get sloppy. Now I think they want him to flip on Trump, saying Trump knew about the fraud, but he's not flipping on Trump. He want to go to trial.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure that would make sense anyway, but okay.
No, but he's trying to say Trump signed some of the checks.
Yeah.
That went to him because Trump was just the signer on the account. So Trump signed some of the checks that went to pay for some of this stuff. So they're trying to say that did Trump know that this was going on, and if you know, then you got the conspiracy. But I don't think they can get Trump without Weisselberg. But even if you do get Trump, Weisselberg is the I think I'm saying his name is right, but anyway, he was the CFO, the chief financial officer. So you would take advice from if he brings me a check and says sign the check, of course I'm gonna give him the check. And now you're putting pressure on him to say that I knew. How would I know? That's the reason why I hired him to know. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Very good. Well, I'll definitely have to get into it some more and try to figure out if there's any there. But I just saw the most superficial headlines and I wasn't super impressed. But the way you describe it sounds a little bit more interesting than what I was
don't get me wrong.
So.
It's wrong that they're going this far with it, because generally they make you pay. But I don't believe they would. But obviously the Trump connection was making it political.
Well, we'll try a selective prosecution argument, I guess.
Well, I wouldn't say, because it's not like there's nothing there. If there was nothing there, then maybe. But here, even with speeders, you catch somebody speeding, so all these other people are speeding. It's like, no, I don't have to catch everybody. I just got to catch you if you're violating the law. You know what I'm saying? Which in turn is selective prosecution. But
as long as you pull over speeders, as long as you pull over speeders in some sort of common way, that's fair.
Yeah,
but if you have some obscure thing on the books, and it's like the first time you basically ever charged anyone, that's a little bit different. It would be the equivalent of a road where everyone speeds and no one is ever pulled over, and then someday the government decides to randomly pull one person over. That seems a little suspicious. I'm not sure about that one. If it just happens to be they capture you that particular day, that's one thing. If they captured you on that particular day and it's like the only day they capture people, I'm not so sure, man. That's a little bit different. Plus, the incentives to go look at it was not quite pure as the Germans snow. There was I behind it that look a little bit problematic to my mind. At least it's arguable.
I agree. No, I definitely agree in that sense. But I still want to just be clear, though. If a violation of law does occur and they find it, trying to figure out how they get there, unless it's unconstitutional, I give you that. But I think, if they're saying we're going to we're only going to investigate them because of race, creed, religion, sex, something like that, some of those factors, yes. But if you're saying that
First Amendment protected activity,
can you investigate somebody for doing that? For doing what?
Well, the reason that instead of saying you were investigating me because of race, creed, color, or those reasons that are improper, say you're investigating me because of First Amendment protected activity. This is improper retaliation.
No,
for First Amendment protected activity.
That's the same thing. That's the reason why they were able to get the Remember didn't you just hear about the case where they got all those subpoenas from Trump had all those subpoenas against CNN and they had the gag orders for the investigations because they were investigating somebody at the Freedom of the Press. So yeah, you can.
Okay, I don't know I don't know that one. Sorry.
Oh, look at what just happened. CNN, there's a huge gag order. Trump and the Justice Department did subpoenas and subpoenaed like all the records for a whole bunch of reporters because they were trying to find leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they can, and they gagged them too, so they couldn't even talk about it.
Interesting. Gag orders suck.
Yeah.
Prior restraint.
God, First Amendment all got caught up. Freedom of the press caught up. Gag order, First Amendment, freedom of speech caught up. So yeah. They can.
That's interesting. I didn't see this one. Bound by a gag order, sealing order that prohibited me from discussing. Government was seeking to compel disclosure of professional communications. Well, that is concerning. Yeah, the First Amendment retaliation angle for CNN is also very concerning for the same reasons. So I see CNN's point for sure.
It didn't work though. They got the gag order. They got the subpoenas.
Well, that may be because the court was sloppy. I wouldn't be the first time I've seen a district court.
Oh, that's the only one.
It wouldn't be the first time I've seen them get a little sloppy with gag orders and not really considering the full implications.
Yeah, and CNN wasn't the only one. They hit a couple people too with those.
Yeah. All right, very, very good. Is there anything else in particular you want to talk about? We could just hang out and just talk about stuff. I don't care.
Yeah, there's nothing else really. I'm just chilling. Really, what do you think about the Giuliani thing? Because Giuliani got slapped up a little bit too.
It's a sad day, Nate, because Giuliani was the GOAT, and it makes you wonder at least a little bit about one's own competence and what it goes into the future. You know, when you see one of the greats, and you see someone who is so wonderful when he was U.S. attorney, and how far he fall, it's like, what fate befalls us? It's you seeing someone crack, and you're like, maybe that's me in the future. So that's how I kind of feel about it. It makes me feel very sad, and also a little bit existential.
I don't know. I think Giuliani was an amazing mayor. He was a really, really good mayor.
Yeah,
and
it was great. I mean, he cleaned up Times Square. It used to be a red light hellhole, and now it's Disneyfied, which it's
not even that. Like, just even to keep it simple, the 4th of July, when Giuliani, and even when what's his name, Bloomberg was mayor, I give him some credit too. Interestingly enough, you didn't hear anything about fireworks. You didn't hear like any fireworks that night on New Year's, or not New Year's, on 4th of July. And I remember when I was a kid growing up, how you heard it all the time. Then the Republicans came in and Giuliani, and you heard nothing. Like, they were out there just like arresting everybody. If you had fireworks, you would get arrested. Quiet nights. Quiet. Matter of fact, if you heard something, it was rare. Then Bloomberg got out, and the first year, you didn't really hear anything. Now every year, it's like we're in downtown Baghdad at the beginning of the Gulf War. It gets that crazy out here. And it's so many fireworks. It's so crazy. And it's interesting because the one thing about, I think, Giuliani, the one thing that reminds me of Giuliani is that he took like a no nonsense approach to just managing the city. Like, yeah, if we want this city to work, we have to kind of follow the rules, right? I can't sit here and have people double parked all the time and not give them tickets because I'm afraid what they're going to feel about me. I got to keep traffic moving, and just that, there's just no nonsense, just kind of simple approach. Like, we're going to they call it the broken windows policy, but fare evaders, people who jump the turnstile, we're going to arrest those people, right? They're breaking the law because they raise revenues in the train station. So to watch him fall like this is just crazy. But I think Giuliani's doing it to himself, though, because at the end of the day, even with this case, we got a situation where allegations were made against Mr. Giuliani. You broke these ethical rules.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they did the investigation and saw, hey, here is the statements. You made them to a court. This is what they are. They're here, right? You're saying you didn't make them up out of whole cloth. And Giuliani actually put an affidavit that said he had affidavits of people that told him these statements that he made, these false statements that he made to the court, because the statements are proven false. The court said, show us those affidavits.
That would be real helpful.
And you know what Giuliani did? He provided no affidavits. Nothing.
Yeah.
He provided absolutely nothing. He said he had them. He said he had these people to talk to. He said he had them because a lot of people don't understand how it works with the ethics. Is that if I make a false statement to the court that's found out to be false, the next question is, why did you make that false statement? Did you know it was false, right? So if I now have a source, I say, well, listen, this expert or this person told me this, that's allowed me to make this statement of fact, then that's why I was misled, right? There's a chain there. But if I just make a false statement and they'll say, why did you make it? And I don't have anybody to point to, then they're going to think I intentionally made it. That's the only real conclusion. You can't actually prove I intended to do something, but by just making the statement without any type of support, then it's going to lead to a particular conclusion. And that's kind of the way it's working here with Rudy Giuliani, is that he made a false statement that everybody that he concludes is false. And he said, Rudy Giuliani said, he had affidavits to show that where he got these statements from. He had other proof to show where he got these statements from, and he provided none of that proof. So since he didn't provide any of that proof that he said he had, they said, well, these are uncontroverted claims, right? No, it's uncontroverted that you've done this, and now we can suspend you immediately.
Yeah, you can't make false representations to a court. You can't say that you have things that you don't have, or evidence that you don't have. You can't say you have to. There's a fundamental duty of honesty towards the tribunal. It's in the ethics rules, and you can't just make stuff up. And Giuliani was making stuff up, and then he was saying things like, "Oh, we're alleging fraud," and then in court would say, "Are you alleging fraud or not?" And he was sometimes wishy-washy, or sometimes said yes, sometimes no. It was really weird. The whole thing was weird, and Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and him went off a deep, deep track. And there is no end in sight for those guys. So yeah, it's depressing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like at the end of the day, maybe this was for the money. Rudy doesn't really practice anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really think he needs his law license like that. But still, at the end of the day, you don't want to get a loser like this because he was, U.S. attorney that shut down the mob. He's just. It's sad. I don't know. I feel bad for him. Don't get me wrong. I think generally probably would, if he was some other lawyer and this wasn't the president of the United States, would we be talking about an ethics violation? Probably not. Probably not. But since they're the court, and then since they are uncontroverted, it's not like he's saying they said just give us the affidavits. You filed affidavits, And one of the other things he said is that one of the thing is confidential. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, one of the exceptions to the rule of confidentiality is the damn, is the ethics, the ethics board, right?
Yeah, ordered by the court too. That's an exception to the ethics rules, at least in most states. It's ordered by the court. Somebody
said define false statement. Nate, define false statement. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
False statement is a statement that's not true, right? That's what a false statement is.
It's not true.
Yeah.
You have to know it's not true in order for it to be, no.
We're just talking about
technically, for false, it just has to be not true. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about just false statements.
Yeah.
Then the standard is knowingly false statement. Yeah, we're not talking about lies. We're talking about false statements.
Yeah. So yeah, if you say to a court, "I have X," and you don't have X, that would qualify as a false statement.
Now the next step is proving that whether it was willfully or not. Now, generally, what they'll do is ask you for a source. Where did you get this statement? Why did you make that statement? If you don't have any source, then that is going to tend to lead them to believe it's willfully.
The statement
Right.
apparently the statement was Giuliani was asked by the court if he had affidavits to back up what he was saying, and Giuliani said, "Yes, I have affidavits." And then the court said, "Where are they?" And there are no affidavits. So that would be the false statement. "Yes, I have affidavits." "No, you don't." "Where are they?" "You can't present them, so you don't have them."
Yeah. He
So
asked
that'll be the false statement. And tomorrow 6 says, "Well, this is what every lawyer does." No, lawyers
don't make false
lawyers don't do
statements.
this. The lawyers
Yeah.
don't make false statements. What a lawyer generally does is they amplify good facts and amplify good law, and try to diminish bad facts or diminish bad law. But you can't out and out lie. So you can't say something is true if it's not true, and you just can't go out and lie. So if you ask me to represent you in court, like, I'm going to ask you all the things, and I'm going to amplify all the facts that are helpful for you, amplify all the law that's helpful for you. But I'm not going to go out and make lies and misrepresentations. Like, for example, if you needed to, I don't know, pay some sort of tax. If you needed to pay a tax that would help me in my case, and you tell me I didn't pay the tax, I'm not going to go into court and say you paid the tax. I'll try to figure out a way why it doesn't matter, right? That would be what I could do. So, if the law says you have to pay a tax, I can't go into court and say, well, he paid the tax. What I could do is say, well, the tax doesn't really matter, and here's some legal arguments as to why. But you can't lie. There are rules.
Yeah,
Dershowitz disagrees. Well, Dershowitz can suck it up.
Yeah, but just so everybody understands, we're not talking about things that are under controversy here, right? We're not talking about things that Giuliani is of course, kind of we're talking about uncontroverted claims. The claim was made. It's just like in a civil case, and I keep trying to explain people, like in a civil case, somebody alleges you did something, right? And then you have an answer, and then the answer, if you whatever factual allegations you don't properly deny, it's assumed to be true. It's assumed to be admitted. That's essentially what's happening here. Except here they were saying, they made a prima facie case, and asked Giuliani, well, here, these are false statements that you made in front of the tribunal. And there was even one piece of it where he had made the statements, found out that they were investigating him, and then continued to make the statements even after they were false. Like, he continued to make the false statements. So they're like, we've got all this, but you told us that you have affidavits from people, from sources. That's the reason why you made these statements. Okay, let's see their affidavits. And he didn't show anything. That's what happened to Rudy Giuliani. So it's not about whether the statements are false, not whether he was lying, not whether that's the factual understanding of what happened. He's got to present the receipts.
Yeah, receipts, exactly.
He's got to present the receipts. Yeah, Rudy said he said he got them. He said he got the receipts. The cashier just saying, you want to return this? I need to see it.
Yeah.
And he's not disbarred. He's just suspended in the interim, because what happens is, if there's no controversy, if the facts are uncontroverted, then it's essentially you have already done the ethical violation, because all the facts are uncontroverted. There's no controversy here. So they'll suspend. That allows them to suspend your license, and obviously if they feel that you're continuously dangerous to the public or whatever, so forth. But
Ken Davis, you can do your own case research on that one. You can just look up Rudy Giuliani disbarment. Go do your own research, Ken.
Hold on, I'll put the thing inside the thing.
No, I don't think you should. Nate, because I think Ken Davis over here should not be so lazy and should go look up Rudy Giuliani disbarment and go find the case number himself. I don't know why we're having to do that basic homework for him. I'm disinclined. You do it. How about that? I'm in an ordinary mood today.
Yes. It's on the court's website.
Oh, okay. You can explain this to me, because I don't understand this about New York law, or how New York lawyers get barred. Because I don't understand this. Because you get barred by the appellate division, right? Instead of the Court of Appeals. So it's the intermediary Court of Appeals, right?
Well, let me see. We call them departments. instead of like appeals court. So it's the intermediate appeals court. Yes, is the one that goes through the
Yeah,
process.
you call it like
Yes.
first department or something like that,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
the first department.
How many of them
Or
are there?
second department or fourth. There's a first, second, third, and fourth departments.
Okay, so if you get, first of all, so two questions, or I guess a couple questions. Do you have to get, I assume if you get licensed by one, then it counts for all of them?
Yes, you can get licensed from any department, and you're good in the whole state.
So how do you pick which one?
Generally it's done by where you live. So wherever you're closest. So if you live in, or where you work. So if you work upstate, you'll do it upstate. Also, well, I don't know, because when I first did it, it was just like, it was based on where you live, and then if you like, because I know I had some people who lived in Manhattan, but had to go to one upstate because they missed they came in late, so they got sworn in upstate, so they're officially sworn in under like the third department, but they actually live in the first department. You know what I'm saying?
Is the first department considered more prestigious in any respect?
Yeah, the first and second departments, because that's Manhattan and Brooklyn.
So they look down on the fourth department for there's
the fourth department, not really less. There's a doctrine called the Mountain View Doctrine in New York, where you treat where it says you treat those departments, those like intermediate courts, kind of like as one. So if one makes a ruling, let's say the fourth department makes a ruling, and if I'm in the second department, my department hasn't made that ruling, I'm supposed to use that ruling as a little. It's not mandatory, but it's more persuasive. It'll almost take on like a persuasive tone, unless the second department, comes and says, no, I think they're wrong, and we're going to do it this way.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's pretty typical. Courts of appeal typically look at other courts of appeal. It's not unusual. So yeah, okay. And who decided that this? And does the Court of Appeals, which is your highest court, have any role in attorney discipline, or does it all stop at the appellate division? I mean,
I wouldn't know. I have to look that up. But generally, from what I understand,
who decided these rules were a good idea, man? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Are you talking about the ethical rules?
No, just the way that they're barred in New York. It's so weird.
Yeah, but again, it's everybody has their little tradition, of
I guess
what they do. It's here. It's pretty. It's not really tough. It's not really tough, because after you pass the test and you give them your stuff, it's just you really just gotta wait, and then you get to go through your interview and all that stuff. Because I don't know if you guys had the interview, you have to go to an actual physical interview and sit down with someone and talk to them and explain to them why you want to be a lawyer and all that crap. So
I had to do in-person character and fitness in Ohio. I don't think I did in Virginia. I don't remember having that meeting in Virginia. So apparently in Virginia, if memory serves correctly, on character and fitness, I just did it on papers. I definitely didn't have to sit down with anyone and explain why I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah, it was that type of stuff. But
for the money, for the prestige.
Yeah, for the money, for the prestige. But it was, hey, I enjoyed the process. It was quick, it was simple, and I was just happy I passed the bar. So
the Ohio ethics people busted my chops. They wanted to get under my skin. I was like, God, I have better things to do with your time. Yeah. So it's yeah. I think I'm going to take the bar again next year, because now that you can do this like multi-state entry thing, so I can get like admitted in 25 states at once. I think that'd be badass. You didn't
do the? Oh, have you taken a multi-state?
Well, it didn't exist when I took law school. The new thing that I took it in 2007. The first state that joined this multinational coalition, 2008. I didn't have this option.
Yeah, I took the old bar too. I wish I would have taken the multi-state.
I think we should sit for the bar again. I think we should sit for the bar.
But after 5 years, though, you're good anyway. Though after 5 years, you can get in anywhere.
Yeah, well, if you're in active practice and stuff, and there's rules and blah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, but unless what is it? Yeah, I think you can, because like I was even thinking about joining the DC bar. My scores were good enough, and so fuck it.
I don't know what I did on my. I don't know how I did on my exam, because Virginia doesn't tell you if you pass.
Oh.
So I don't know how well I did. I thought I did pretty well, but I'll never know for sure.
Well, but I was thinking about just studying again. Like I was thinking about taking another bar course just to get fresh with it again. Because if this is going to be my life doing this type of stuff, then I want to always be. Then I want to be up on the most current law. And and since I already did, like, I forget what it was, Kaplan or whatever, they even give you a deal if you do it again.
Ooh, that's cool.
Discount. Yeah.
That's nice.
And they're still in business, thank God. So just run through. All you got to do is run through it.
Well, I would never
because it's for me. I'm not doing it to take a test. I'm just doing it just to stay sharp, just to stay up on my.
Well,
cred.
in that case, just do like the one that does like the online that does the multi-state, and you do like online with the flashcards and stuff, and it keeps track and figures out which ones you're weak on and stuff. That'd be good.
Well, you know what I'm thinking about just sitting through the courses. That's it. Because really, I like, for me, it's a refresher. It's not learning it from scratch. A lot of these other people were learning from scratch. A lot of that stuff. But for me, it's just like literally a refresher from a refresher.
Sometimes I have like the weirdest contract questions come up. I was watching a Star Trek TNG episode. I believe it's called The Price, where the Ferengi, the Federation, and some other people are bidding on this wormhole. And it turns out at the end of the wormhole's a dud. It isn't fixed in the Alpha Quadrant, so it moves around. So it's basically worthless. And the guy who won, which wasn't Federation, but it was some other contingent, said, well, we'll honor the deal. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if that contract would be enforceable in U.S. law or not. We have this bargain for exchange for access to this wormhole, but it turns out that it isn't actually fixed in the U.S. Does that qualify as a bilateral mistake of fact? Or because we're both sophisticated parties, does it mean we're on notice and buyer beware? How is that analysis going to work out? So that was today's random question. I actually did some minor research on. If we bid for the lemon wormhole, who do we have to pay?
I don't know. I'm thinking that's an interesting question.
Okay, Ken Davis says that he's done and unsubscribed, so don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, Ken. Bye. I don't know why you think you own me for giving me a super chat, but
Hold on. Before Ken, before you leave, let me put this in the chat for you.
Ken's gone. He says he's done and unsubscribed, so don't let your door hit your ass on the way out.
Oh, Ken, no. I was actually just gonna drop the thing. I'm sorry, Ken. I forgot.
I am so salty I cannot be bothered to do the bare minimum of Googling. I want Kurt to go do the Googling for me, to go type in Rudy Giuliani disbarment proceeding, and I can't be bothered to do the bare minimum of Googling to find it. I want him to do it and provide it for me because it's so hard.
Yeah.
But there's the link.
Yeah,
I feel like you shouldn't give it to him. You're just giving him what he wants, man.
Yeah, but why not? Especially if somebody has an honest, question. I'm not sure if he's trolling or not, but I'm assuming.
I really don't care at this point.
If you want a link from me, check it out because it's all clear information. What we're saying it's in there. It's literally in there. Giuliani affidavit. He said he had affidavits. We just show no affidavits.
Melissa Boomer at the Night says, did you hear about the case against Discord? For all the slander against lawyers who have friends with mental health issues and criminal past that can't handle their shit. Class action. I have no idea what this is talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some lawyers on Discord who apparently are talking about their former client. Well, if lawyers are talking about their former clients in identifiable ways, that could be a problem. But otherwise, I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, if you can identify somebody's client is one thing, but if you talk about clients and people nobody knows who you're talking about, then you're fine.
Slander against lawyers who have friends with mental health issues and criminal past. Oh, people just talk shit on Discord. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Oh, it's a joke? Well, okay. I missed the joke. But I assume it was funny. That's okay. I had a joke, and Nate didn't think it was funny, even after I explained it several times. So the humor in me is not getting along very well today, it seems. What can you do?
Yeah. Nothing really.
All right, I guess I'm gonna sign off for now. If you're enjoying this stream, you can like it, subscribe, and give me 99 cents. For 99 cents, you too can become an uncivilian as long as you are willing to do some basic minor, Googling when you have stuff, then, that'd be good. Otherwise, I hope you've had fun. Until later, my guest has been Nate the Lawyer. Wonderful. Congratulations on the 70,000, Nate. I hope that I will be soon following you. It's been a lot of fun as always. Cheers and good night.